into the mountain, to the middle of nowhere, all the way to Grote Post. These routes that you can go into this flay area, there's like, you can check this out, I don't know. Yeah, so I've got Gaia, which helps a lot. So you can lose signal and then go into the area, and then you can show your track where you drove.
Everyone is getting a Jimny, and it got me thinking, what's the deal with this little car? Why is everyone suddenly obsessed with what looks like a shoebox on wheels? Hello, hello. You look at other brands out there, and there's legacy. Say Toyota, you think Land Cruiser. Say Isuzu, someone's grandfather had a KB250 that outlived 3 engines. Say Nissan, the Patrol, a cult icon. But Suzuki, that name used to mean, well, nothing. No legacy stories, no posters on walls. Then this tiny box showed up. A proper 4x4, real low range, and suddenly everyone wants one. What is the story? In every 4x4 group, there's that one guy, the natural leader, the one who grew up around it, who lives it, breathes it, and eats 4x4. For us, that's Alex. He recently took us on our first proper overlanding trip through the Baviaanskloof, and he crushed it. He led with confidence, knew the lines, the campsites, the gear. By the end of the trip, I was sold. I got home and bought myself a 4x4. And then, a little while later, my wife did the same. Except, she got a Jimny. That's what sent me down this whole rabbit hole. What's the deal with this little car? Why does it have such a cult following?
Yeah, that's... You're on 2-bar. But pull it a little bit out. Yeah, that won't be accurate now. You're releasing the pressure, so you'll have to... Sometimes now, the best is to run it slightly harder, see if you're struggling, and then start dropping again. James, how's it, bro?
For our first time out in the Jimny, we figured we'd keep things fair. A bit of a comparison test. We had Alex in his slightly modified KB300, and James, our local pizza guru, in his Ford Ranger. The route for the day was rated easy to moderate. Nothing too hectic, but enough to see what the Jimny can do. It was the first time the Jimny would go in low range, and the first time Kate would be driving in sand. Luckily it had rained quite a bit, so the sand wasn't too soft. Oh, and of course, every good experiment needs a control group. Ours, Joffrey and Carla in Bento, their stock standard 2023 3-door automatic Jimny. Joffrey and I go way back, almost 20 years now. I could probably make a video just about this guy. Our car's journey started when we were 18, when Joffrey got a white 2005 1.2 Renault Clio. I didn't have my own wheels at the time, so naturally I became the permanent passenger. We went everywhere in that thing. Not the fastest on the road, but definitely not too slow. Windows down, music up, endless back roads, and, well, bad decisions. That little Clio carried more stories than you'd think possible. So now, 14 years later, to be on the trails together again, in a proper 4x4 this time, it's an honor to say the least. An old friendship still rolling, just with a bit more clearance and a lot more dust. Turns out, the Jimnys have been around since the 1970s. Built in Japan for work, not for showing off. Small, tough, light enough to skip over the terrain that would sink bigger cars. They didn't care about being the biggest or baddest, it just worked. Farmers used it, forest rangers used it, and adventurers soon followed. Over time, it gained reputation, quietly, the kind of reputation that spreads through stories, not slogans. And then, decades later, Suzuki brought it back, with the same DNA, boxy, bold, and surprisingly capable. A retro design that somehow feels right now. It's not luxurious, it's not fast, but it has character. And it's fun. It makes you want to take the long way home, or forget about the roads altogether. So here's a question I kept coming back to on this trip. Who actually buys a Jimny and why? On paper, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's small, not particularly powerful, limited boot space, not exactly built for comfort over long distances, and yet, here we are. A growing number of people are choosing it over bigger and, well, better options. Taking it deep into the trails, over mountains, across rivers, proudly, joyfully, almost stubbornly. So I started paying attention, watching the way it moves, listening to how people talked about it, trying to understand what this little box actually means to the people who drive it. I don't have the full answer yet, but I think I'm starting to get it.
Biscuits and say the toughest stuff.
At first glance, the Jimny looks a bit like a toy. Boxy, tiny, narrow, almost out of place parked next to the big boys. But out here, on the trails, that shape starts to make sense. The short wheelbase, it's a game changer. You can turn tighter, pivot on rocky terrains, and take sharper angles without dragging your belly. It climbs and descends like a mountain goat, stable, nimble, and light on its feet. The narrow body, at first it feels like a compromise, but when you're weaving through tight mountain passes, bushy tracks, or narrow curves, it suddenly becomes an advantage. You go where others have to stop and fold in their mirrors. And the weight, well, or lack of it, is actually one of its biggest strengths. In thick sand, it kind of floats. We were driving on wet sand and didn't even have to engage 4 high. Just cruise. No digging, no drama. Heavier rigs sink in and have to fight to stay on top. And then there's the size overall. It's easy to park, easy to store, cheap on tires, brakes, fuel, and pretty much everything. And it's simple. Solid axle, ladder frame, low range box. Old school engineering that still works. Sure, you give up on a bit of comfort, but you gain capability and a kind of purity most modern SUVs have forgotten. Let's talk about the price. Is the Jimny for everyone? Well, yes and no. Compared to other 4x4s, it's definitely on the more affordable side. New or second-hand, you'll pay a fraction of what you would for a Cruiser, a Hilux, a Defender, or even a Fortuner. And with that, you still get a proper ladder frame, solid axle, low-range vehicle. And that's rare. It's one of the few 4x4s that feel accessible. Like you don't need a second bond to get into the overlanding world. You can join the adventure without selling your soul. But it's not for everyone. If you're planning to tow heavy, load up for long hauls, or carry a full family plus gear, it's going to feel tight, maybe even impractical. You're not buying the Jimny because it's the most sensible car. You're buying it because you love it, because you see it and it makes you smile, because you want something capable without the bulk, the bloat, or the price tag that normally goes with a real 4x4. So no, it's not for everyone, but for the right kind of person, it's perfect. One of the best things about owning a Jimny is what happens after you drive it off the showroom floor. You don't just buy a car, you accidentally join a cult. Not the weird Roboring kind, the 4x4 nerd kind. Roof racks, rock sliders, mini fridges, drawer systems, snorkels. Half of the owners don't even go near deep water, but the snorkel looks cool, so it's going on. It's like Lego for adults. You start small, maybe tires or a roof rack. Then a month later, you're knee-deep in a WhatsApp group called the Jimny Wild Wild West, arguing about recovery points and weighing up 40k suspension upgrades, just so your car can keep doing what it already did just fine before all of these upgrades. But you can't help it, it's fun. There's something about modifying this little box on wheels that makes you feel like a kid again. And the community, it's wild. There's always someone with a trick, a hack, a build idea. Half of them have named their Jimny, usually something like Luna, Tank, or the Green Goblin. It's a wholesome chaos. Nobody's trying to win the horsepower race. It's more like, look how I turned this R4 sized vehicle into a fully kitted out weekend cabin. And they're everywhere. Parking lots, mountain trails, Instagram reels with moody music and muddy tires. Jimny people love their Jimnys, and that enthusiasm is weirdly contagious. So yeah, it's not just a car, it's a platform, a blank canvas for adventure, and maybe a getaway drug to overlanding debt. This adventure we are. It's not hard. In fact, it's barely even off-road by proper standards. No rock crawling, no winching, no real risk of breaking anything. But that's not really the point. It's a Sunday. We've got our cars, our dog, and a couple of half-packed cooler bags. We're outside, together, driving into places we've never seen before. Places you'll never find a Nissan MP200 or a Polo Vivo. Well, unless you really hate your suspension. It's not a big mission, no passports, no permits, no hectic prep. Just a bit of time, a tank of fuel and the willingness to follow Alex into the mountains. Despite his history of saying, it's an easy drive, right before a river crossing. And honestly, it's kind of magical. Because even though the trails are easy, there's this sense of adventure. The road gets narrow, the terrain changes, you go around the bend and then there's just nothing. Open space, wild air, no cell phone reception. Just the sound of the tires on gravel, the dog panting, and someone on the radio saying, wait, was I supposed to go left here? We're constantly on the radio, checking in, spotting each other, making jokes, giving light-hearted advice. And that might just be the best part of all of this. Because in a world where connection is mostly digital, where we send voice notes instead of having actual conversation, this kind of feels rare. Out here, you have no choice but to engage with each other, with the terrain, and with the moment. You get challenged, even if just a little, and you get to be part of a group that's looking out for each other. Laughing when someone stalls, cheering when someone makes a tough or tricky climb, handing out rusks like it's gold. It's a wholesome, healthy fun, the kind that leaves you feeling tired, but in a good way. Not burnt out, just a little dusty, or muddy, and sun-kissed, with a story to tell and maybe some dog hair in your coffee mug. And yeah, it comes at a cost. The cars, the gear, the time. But when you add it all up, it's worth it. Because in a time where real community is harder and harder to find, sometimes you have to drive out into the wild to remember what it feels like.
Got it, you got it. Easy does it, easy does it.
go out of 4 high.
Yeah.
Really don't make it easy to get in and out. You know, it's not like easy like gear change. You really need to actually push it.
Maybe this is the best car for you. Not because it's fast or luxurious or backed with tech, but because it's enough. Enough to get you out there. Enough to shift how you see the world. Not just across the ocean, but right here. Because maybe you don't need a boarding pass and an overpriced bintang in Bali. Maybe what you need is to see more of your own country. To feel fresh air in your lungs and have a new part of the map under your tires. The truth is, your time is limited. And your time is special. And while everyone is chasing something bigger, shinier or faster, maybe you just need something small and with low range. The Jimny won't change your life for you, but it might nudge you in the right direction.
You know?
It's all about 2x4. You can get out. Okay, fine, I'll go into 4x4. Yeah.
Just forward enough not to be able to go back.
I was trying to have fun on 4x2. And then see, the moment you go 4-wheel drive, it's just
Oh, that's kind of boring. Like
I mean, no, you push yourself out quite quickly and easily, isn't it? Yeah. It's it'll be back and forth, digging out a little bit, then pushing. And, okay, cool. Jeez, crazy.
In a world full of luxury SUVs with more buttons than personality, the Jimny is refreshingly simple. This little box on wheels isn't pretending to be something it's not. It's short, it's square, it gets blown around in the wind, and yet somehow it's still perfect. This weekend wasn't a dramatic expedition. We weren't scaling cliffs or crossing deserts. We were just a bunch of friends, our dogs, and some snacks, and a convoy of boxy little cars heading into the hills. And honestly, that's all we needed. We chatted on the radios, helped each other with the rocky bits, and saw parts of our backyard we've never seen before. All thanks to these tiny 4x4s with hearts way bigger than the engines. And maybe that's the magic of it. The Jimny doesn't try to be everything. It just lets you go. Go slow, go far, go off the path, but most importantly, go together. So thanks to my friends for the banter, for the patience, and for reminding me that these days don't need to be epic to be unforgettable. And thanks to my wife for dragging me into this Jimny life. I get it now, and I'm in. And thanks to the Jimny for proving that fun, freedom and adventure can absolutely come in a car that looks like a Lego brick. Well, more trips to come, more trails, more radio nonsense, same tiny car and some big feelings. So let's go on an adventure again soon.